during NFT NYC week. I've also had D-Rock on the show. It was one of my favorite episodes because he went deep on up-leveling your content creation. And aside from that, I'm an advocate for sharing about the information that we've all learned over the last couple years, because I want more people to create opportunities and more revenue streams in their lives. And that starts with sharing content on social media. It's the easiest way to onboard people into the space. And something else that I'm an advocate for is proper time management. I think it's very, very important that we have the tools to properly manage our time. I see so many conversations and I see so many posts about folks saying things like, I left my 9-to-5 job to work 24 hours a day in Web3. And that concerns me because that's not sustainable and it's not healthy. And I want all of us to be here for the long haul. And for the last year, I've been hosting weekly trainings in the Freedom with NFTs Discord community. And I heard this conversation happening so many times. So I created a time management tool for the Web3 space. Again, it's an honor to be here with you today to talk about content planning, time management, and all of those juicy topics.
We often talk about time management, and I often phrase it in dog ears, where 1 minute is equal to 7 minutes in the NFT space. 1 day is equal to 7 days in the Web3 space. So if you turn your computer off for a week, you might as well be gone for a month and a half. With that, it is important when you are making a strategy based on your Web3 content is to plan properly. In Lauren's bio there on the right-hand side, you can go to the Stand store as well, and you can look into how you can join a community to, get better management tools. So I guess the first question to you, Lauren, is why is content planning very important in the Web3 space?
Content planning is really important because, again, this is the way that we're going to educate folks who are not in the space by sharing our journeys on social media. And one of the ways that I and my community have been able to dial this in is proper content planning. And one of the things that I advise folks to do is to batch create your content. Pick a time once a week that you're going to plan your content upcoming week. You're going to create any photo or video assets that you need to accompany with that copy that you're putting out into the world. Now, I know this might sound a little bit more advanced for folks who might not be a content creator yet. So let's scale it back a little bit. The first thing I encourage anyone to do who is just now stepping into the world of content creation is to find the medium that you're comfortable with now. What are you comfortable with now in regards to creating content? Is it short form copy? Is it long form copy? Is it photos? Is it videos? Where are you most comfortable now? And get a process going around that and really dial into that form of content creation and get really, really good at it. And then from there, you can use that content to purpose it across the other social media platforms. So if you're popping off on Twitter right now with written content, you can use those tweets as a prompt for when you're ready to create videos on TikTok. So get really, really good at one form of content creation right now and then expand from there. And then, like I was saying earlier, batch create your content. Put it into your schedule, make it a non-negotiable, and really get that process down. When I first started batch creating my content, the first time I did it, it took me 4 hours and I was sobbing. I was sobbing by the end of it. I was absolutely miserable. I was like, this sucks. But then the next week, it only took me 2 hours. The week after that, 1 hour. And now I can write long form copy, 5 to 7 posts for the next week in under 20 minutes. And the other thing too is you can repurpose your old content. You don't need to be creating fresh content from scratch every week. Go back and look at your post from 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year ago and repurpose that content. And then one other really great trick with content creation is to share other people's content and give your opinion about this. You see this all the time on LinkedIn, where people will share a post from another platform and then they'll give their opinion on it and then ask others to contribute in the comments.
Soleil, I saw your hand up. I want to touch on a couple points before we get to Soleil. Is like, it's almost like staying in your lane. Now we have Alan Carroll up here as the meme king. So like Alan, are you strictly just memes? Do you try to branch out into other avenues? Do you stay in your lane when you're memeing it out, or do you try to go into maybe different social media? So Alan Carroll, I was just wondering, do you try to stay in your lane? Do you try to plan out your content? What do you do to keep yourself organized?
For sure, and definitely, Lauren is sharing some good tips here. Memes are a little different because news breaks every day. So sometimes you have to be a little reactionary to, especially in the bull market, like whatever's happening, you kind of meme around that. But I definitely will cultivate content in advance for sure, like in terms of videos and pictures that I want to use. And then the copy maybe will come a different day. But just so you're not always searching for stuff, absolutely, there are periods of time I will kind of store some stuff in the camera roll and you throw them up on LinkedIn and Twitter for sure. So.
And then I'll pivot to Soleil because you have a different form, Soleil the singer. So, what lanes do you stay in when you're driving in this Web3 space?
Yeah, so being introduced to NFTs through music, I feel like I'm kind of trying to find my lane with content creation. So I just recently started a series, teaching the average everyday person about NFTs, Web3 with the homies. And I would ask, so Lauren, how would you, what advice would you have to give for someone who's just kind of testing different forms of content and doesn't have, a formula down yet?
Such a great question. And I love where you're at on your journey right now. And it's so pumped to see what comes through for you. So exactly that. Test out different forms of content creation. A really great way to see what's happening in your niche in regards to content creation is go on TikTok and type in your niche and see the videos that have popped off within that niche. So for you, for example, NFT music. Type that in on TikTok and see the content that has been created. You can duplicate that type of content creation style. And you'll see that there's many different styles that people have created content within that niche. And start to figure out the process that you really align with and what feels good for you for content creation. I'll give you a little bit of context of my content creation journey, especially with TikTok, because it's such an interesting platform. I, for some point in time, was trying to create content with the green screen and showing tutorials and that type of content creation. And it was really overwhelming for me. It didn't feel good. But I recently came upon a content creation style that feels really, really good for me. And it's talking to the camera naturally while I'm doing something else. And I found a couple great places in my house where the lighting is great, the camera setup is good, and I can deliver that type of content. But it took me a few different types of content creation styles to land on what feels good for me. So just get out there, explore, see what other content creators are doing in your niche, and find what's right for you.
That's a great answer. I'm going to do that today.
It's really fun when you look on TikTok and you type the different niches and you see what's popping off. You're like, whoa, that's super cool. I would have never thought of that. And the other thing too is, like you said, sharing your journey. We don't have to be experts in something. We can simply just share what it is that we're going through right now and the small realizations that we've had, the little victories and what we've overcome. That's going to help so many people on their journeys. And the other thing is, don't worry about being perfect. We don't have to be perfect with content creation. And we know that from TikTok. That is the beauty that platform has brought to the world, is that we can just show up how we are, and it's still going to have a massive impact on others.
Now I'm looking at, I posted up there one of my pinned tweets, but then the one next to it is the GM from Alan Carroll yesterday about generational wealth or bust. And I love the bust photo that he takes of himself. So he must be just like looking at selfies and selfies of himself, because I don't know if he just keeps himself famous by his own look or not, but is it ever, when is content too much? I mean, is there ever too much Alan Carroll self memes out there? So when is it too much content?
That's such a great question. This comes down to boundaries, time management, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves on these journeys. Because again, we can't be working 24 hours a day here in Web3. It's not sustainable. Burnout can happen. And what happens after burnout? Getting sick, or even worse after that. So really just making sure that you're properly managing your time throughout your week, that you're showing up in a way that feels good for you. Yes, there's going to be times when you're nervous or you're overwhelmed because you're doing something new, but really gut checking yourself and saying, is this something I need to be doing right now? Is it causing me too much stress? And if that's the case, take a step back from it and revisit it when you're ready. Again, I'm such a big advocate of setting boundaries. One of the shifts that I made on my Web3 journey is I went from that place of always showing up, being in Twitter spaces, being in Discord, being at every conference, every event, like grinding hard. And I actually started feeling burnout before VCon, and I canceled going to VCon because I knew that it was too much for me to handle. So being really, really aware of where you're at with yourself. And then another great way to think about your time management is take a look at your schedule Monday through Friday. What does your week look like? What is the best way for you to show up during your week? Something that I had to do with my schedule that's been so helpful is to block days where I'm putting out energy. So those days look like connection calls, consulting meetings, community management when I show up in Twitter spaces and when I show up in my Discord community. Those are the days that I'm putting out energy, and I do that on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays, the only communications I'm having are with my internal team meetings. And then I'm doing admin work on Mondays, and I'm doing content creation. Typically on Fridays, I don't schedule meetings and I don't schedule Twitter spaces. Obviously, this today was an exception because it's such an honor to be here. But I really try to make sure that I'm preserving my time on Fridays so that I can catch up from the week, make sure that everything's crossed off my list so that I can go into the weekend worry-free and not feeling overwhelmed like I have any tasks that I need to do or projects I need to catch up on.
All right, my Vayner-free friends, I think we're doing it right because we do host our spaces on Friday for that same reason, almost reverse effect where, you know, we have a long week. We all look forward to this Friday spaces. And sometimes you'll even hear me like live business meeting with my friends on spaces. I've had a long week. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm not going to be here the rest of the meetings today. And that's kind of a sign off for everyone in our group that we're not doing a meeting end to end. With that being said, Cool Blue, Leslie Wheeler herself really wanted to be here today. She was traveling, going to a wedding, and I actually told her no. And I told her, you know what, you don't need to be a part of this. She really wanted to be here with Lauren and drive this conversation, but I didn't want to get her burned out. I wanted her to enjoy the time with her friends, step away from work, totally get away from the computer. And I told her I'd get mad at her if I did see her listening. So I'm actually going to scroll down and make sure she's not listening down there right now. Thank you, Cool Boo, for not listening. You are recording this later and listening it to it later. Yeah, you're either that or she'll listen to it later, right?
Yeah. And you know, like that's such a great thing that you did by setting that boundary with her. And that's something that we can all do with the folks that we're working with in our communities, any projects that we're doing is let's also have these conversations with each other and make sure that our friends, our loved ones are in good places as well. And that's another reason why we collaborate, we work together so that we can pick up for other people. Something else that I think is so crucial in this space is to have an accountability buddy. Someone that you can just buddy around with on this journey where you're aligned on what the relationship looks like in regards to holding each other accountable. You can have that communication with each other when things come up. This isn't like a business partner. This isn't someone you work with. Again, it's an accountability buddy. For anyone in the spaces who knows me, you know who my accountability buddy is. Her name is Dr. Peace Uche, aka Doc Peace. Maybe you've seen her on stage igniting it with spoken word, but that's exactly what we are. We're accountability buddies. When something pops up and I'm like, whoa, this is overwhelming, I text her immediately. Peace, this just came up. What do you think? I need your input. I need your help. Same with her. And having an accountability buddy will also allow you to check each other when you might be doing too much. Like, yo, take some time off this weekend. Get off your phone. All right, I'm not talking to you till Monday. #bye. we need to also be supporting each other in this way. So I love that you did that.
Well, I actually learned from Gary, and it was about a year ago for what was it, Labor Day. He had a all hands on deck meeting, and the meeting was like, we have worked very hard through the COVID times. We've worked very hard to establish where we're at. We are taking a 4-day weekend, and everyone better take that 4-day weekend. If you have work, plan ahead, get the work done so you can enjoy the 4 days off. So he was almost like fist on the table, forcing everyone to take that 4-day weekend, no emails, no technology, no nothing. But then the empathy sticks in, and then he's just like, well, if you do have stuff and you're a hard worker, I get it, but please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And a lot of that is self-care and getting those mental breaks. I myself, after meetings, just try to go for a walk around the block, even if it's for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes in between meetings, just to kind of hit the reset button. Earlier this week, just knowing the temperature of your crew and the people you work with on your team. You can tell by just the power in their voice, if they're tired, if they're frustrated, if they have energy, if they don't have energy, and to pick them up. How can we help? What can I help you with? Or just giving them time off. I know I had some technology issues. I don't know, it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and I didn't have my AR filter on. I'm on 99% of my time talking with my teammates with my AR filter on. And they're like, where are you, Crypto Novo? And I was actually like in between rafters rewiring something. And they're like, yo, just take a break, come back in later. And that's just what was happening. I felt obligated to be there for the meeting. But in reality, I actually had to fix the technology so we can conduct the proper meeting. And that's what it's all about, is being there for each other. And I like that work accountability person. Doesn't need to be a best friend. Doesn't need to be someone that lives underneath the roof of you, but someone who, gauges where you're at within your 9-to-5 job. Because let's face it, a lot of people you work with are family members, and they know you sometimes better than direct family members. So Leigh, I think you got the next question up here. You want to sport it? Go ahead.
I'll definitely say my V3 family is really good at making sure there's a work-life balance, and putting your health and your mental health first, because this space can get crazy. With that being said, I know a lot of us in this space wear many, many hats. We're content creators, social media managers, we're our own lawyers, we're everything. And that can be a lot. So how do you work smarter and not harder to make the most of your time when you're juggling so much?
We touched on this a little bit earlier, staying in your lane. So that's such an interesting topic because, yes, we're here, we're learning so many different things, we're wearing so many different hats, but you can also stay in your own lane when you're a part of different things. When I first entered the NFT space over a year ago, I got very overwhelmed because I'm not a tech person, I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, and I was actually really self-conscious about this. And I went down a dark rabbit hole for a little bit. And once I pulled myself out of that rabbit hole, I said, Lauren, what did you loved most about your business coaching company? That's what I did prior to being in the Web3 space. And I said, I love to connect with people. Clearly, I like to talk. I have the gift of the gab. And I like to ask questions. And then I said, well, Lauren, what else are you doing right now? You're doing all of these things as you're exploring, learning about NFTs. You know what that is? That's a podcast. You need to start a podcast. And that was a way that I was able to stay in my own lane in this journey. Now, yes, I did have to learn about podcasting. I've never done that before. And I have had to be a part of so many other different things, but I always come back to that as Lauren, record the content, ask the questions, stay in your lane, be good at what you're good at. And then when there's things that come up that I don't know about, I align with other people who are very knowledgeable in those topics. And then I bring them into my community so then that together we can support everyone with what they need. And that's been something that anytime I've been, because again, there's a lot of shiny objects happening in this space. So many opportunities come up. I just come back to Lauren, stay in your own, stay in your mission, stay in your vision, and move forward with that. And then again, finding others that can support what it is that you're doing.
Support is key. I've been helped significantly by the Vayner company, because leaving the teaching world, and when I mean teacher, I was a kindergarten teacher in physical education class. So as my story goes, didn't own my own computer, didn't know very much. So my lane is just learning as much as I can so I can actually teach others. And I feel blessed to have very like-minded individuals around me with different skill sets, so we can ping off of each other's backgrounds to accomplish the same goal. And that same goal, for me at least, is just making equal playing field for people. And this Web3 space is that equal playing field where we are kind of resetting and reshuffling the dynamics of how we're communicating with people. And it's awesome to hear you, Lauren, not only the way you communicate with people, but how you're teaching people along the whole way. Because that's a very difficult craft, is actually teaching and finding how people are in tune to what you're trying to reach them. Do you maybe have like one or two tricks of the trade that you use every time when you're trying to engage someone? Is it like a picture? Is it like the first word you use? Is it, I don't know, what would be like maybe the number one go-to that you try to get to engage people?
Listen to them, listen to others, and find what they value, what means something to them, and support what they find valuable. And I got this skill back from my bartending days. I used to be a career bartender, and this was one of the ways that I was able to create regulars and create really great relationships with people. It's just listening and really taking note of what they think important, what is important to them, what they think is valuable, asking questions too. What do you need help with? What can I support you with? What's happening in your world? What are your roadblocks? And just listening. And if I'm able to support, absolutely, I'm going to support you. But if I can't support you, I'm going to find someone who does. And that's what I do in any situation that I'm in. Some of you that know me know that I travel to a lot of the conferences and events. And although I am an outgoing and forward-facing person, if you actually study me when I'm like, quote unquote, in action, I don't speak. I listen to other people when I'm in a group setting, and I absorb the information. I absorb, and then I contribute based off of what it is that they just shared.
That's amazing. Thank you. You've been giving some great advice this entire time. And I know the space is coming to a close, but something that I was extremely interested in was when I was looking in your bio, I noticed that you have a Web3 time management tool. And I was hoping that you could tell me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So the Web3 time management tool is linked in my bio. It is a powerful tool that will help you manage your time. There is an in-depth exercise to go through first. It's called the Vibes Practice. It's going to get you to get real honest with yourself and have some conversations about what you need to eliminate, optimize, delegate in your life. And then from there, the time management tool will take you through your week, or your month, your week, and your day. And it's set up for 1 month at a time. I have a 50% off code for everyone that's in the spaces right now. It's a low ticket product, $27. So when you go to the checkout, type in Vayner3, all capital letters, and you'll get 50% off of the time management tool. And I also did that for the ultimate TikTok tracker. I created a TikTok tracker that helps you dial in what your 5 pillars of content are. And then within your 5 pillars of content, it allows you to input what your subtopics are. And then from there, there's a tracker that asks you to input your likes, your comments, and your views on your TikToks. And then it'll spit out them for you, so you know if that TikTok is actually performing well or not. All the information is in there. Again, it's a low ticket product too, only $27, 50% off, promo code Vayner3, all capital letters.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Did you guys hear that?
We got it. We got it. Also want to look up on the second pin tweet up there from Hizzy. When should we get help during the initial grind? We might have the income to hire someone. Should it be about content output? So, here we are, people chiming in with us, consistently listening to us each week, adding value to our space. And, a big part of that is listening. And that's what I try to do in this space, is listen as best as I can and learn. And from learning from others, I'm able to help others. Lauren, we got one more minute. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we wind this space down? You got the mic for about 90 seconds, my friend.
If you're not creating content, start creating content. And we'll go back to what I said earlier. Pick a medium that's most comfortable for you now. Get really good at that and then expand from there. Content creation will change your life. I've been showing up on social media for over 15 years. When I used to bartend, I'd post my shifts up there. I also was in the event production world in San Diego and would post my events there. Quick story. Someone reached out to me recently who has not liked, commented, engaged on any of my content for over 10 years with a massive opportunity for me. He's been watching my journey for over 10 years, and now is the time where things would align, where we could support each other. So even if no one is liking, even if no one is commenting, even if no one is DMing you, people are watching you. You are making a difference. Your story is powerful, and you can impact so many people by just sharing your journey.
That's right. You can share your journey. We're going to actually be back with Lauren next week because we want to, and we need to have her on. We need to learn more. So actually 1 week from today, same bat time, same bat channel. If you grew up in the 80s and watched or 70s and watched Batman, we will be back next Friday for sure. A new line of questions with us in there. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Vayner 3 DMs, and we'll see if we can get those questions formatted and out there in next week's spaces. Actually, I feel like getting organized now. I feel like just sifting through and making sure everything's cleaned up before the end of the week. And it's all, from an inspiring voice from a positive thought leader in this Web3 space. Lauren, I greatly appreciate the time you've spent with us today. D-Rob, AC, and Soleil, thank you again for chiming in and adding valuable input to this space. With that being said, we're going to pinch it down and get on with this Friendly Friday. Whatever you may do this weekend, do something. Get out of the house. Go do it. Be an active participant. There's tons of things going on out there. If it's Web3 or not Web3, just be an active member in the society and get out there and do something. With that being said, get those peace signs ready. Stay positive and love life. Peace. Cool. We're not live anymore, so we can talk freely. That was good. Oh, I got you on mute there. Hold on a second. Now I got you on mute.
I think we are.
That was good. It's shared with parashilton.nft if you want to make micro content out of this. And it's really as simple as that as far as us making micro content.
First, I forgot we were streaming and I was just dancing. And then I was like, oh shit.
And I was dancing too. But that's what we got to do. And people will see that and have fun with it and mix in. So maybe we can get Alan Carroll to join next week. Maybe I'll see if Lauren wants to join next week, and we'll just live stream it just like this.
This was fun.
It goes by quick, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
cool. I'm going to take 25 minutes off. I got a meeting. I don't know if you're in on it in 25 minutes.
Content calendar planning, right?
Yep. So we'll just pump out and maybe another set of questions for her. We don't have to go super in depth because we can maybe chime in with her, send her an email, and then she can just give us 2 or 3 questions she wants answered. I mean, that's pretty easy.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't have to be questions specifically, like what topics maybe she wants to cover for next week, and then we can come up with the questions.
That's perfect. I like that idea too. If not, we can just come with personal questions like, hey, me from you making TikTok videos, X, Y, and Z. How can you critique this?
The group chats were going crazy. She was dropping some great gems. They were like, oh, where can we find her TikTok or the TikTok app that you say talking about? I was like, okay, this is great. I'm also working on a music NFT space that I'm in the works, and I'm brainstorming some ideas. So for our next meeting, we'll talk about it.
Ape in Production, Timbaland, I'm pretty good friends with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got a list
Yeah,
of music.
hop off. We'll talk about it in the content calendar meeting.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thanks. I'll catch you
Bye.
later. Peace.